The pyramids of the 5th dynasty. So far, we've looked at the 3rd dynasty, which was a great start with the step pyramid, and the 4th dynasty, which includes the 3 great pyramids that sit on the Giza Plateau. But now we move into the 5th dynasty, and we find that the techniques are deteriorating. The skill level doesn't seem quite so good. Admittedly, the first pyramid in this collection is still made fully of blocks, but it soon deteriorates into blocks on the outside and rubble as filler between the main portions of the building, which of course meant that as soon as the outer stones were removed, you're just left with a big pile of rubble. So let's look at them one by one. Not far from the step pyramid of Djoser lurks the less impressive pyramid of Usakaf. Today it looks just like a pile of rubble, and that's for fairly good reasons, because it was in fact built as a pile of rough cut blocks and rubble with some nice cladding on the outside. So assuming that it was built when the archaeologists say it was built, then about 1,200 years later, Ramses II, aka Ramses the Great, got his son, the very famous Khayyam Waset. He got him to do some restoration of sites, and apparently Khayyam Waset found some amazing things while he was doing all this work. This is a quick look at the structure, and it's underneath the pyramid, i.e. it's underground. And moving on to the next pyramid that I have been to personally, the Pyramid of Sahure. This pyramid is not going to be very easily described in under 1 minute. I was there in 2022 with Any XD, who was my guide at the time. Abusir was on my list because of the stories of the water that were around at this pyramid. And especially because the mortuary temple was part of the cult of Sekhmet, and I'm a big Sekhmet fan. One of the saddest parts about visiting this pyramid is it's pretty clear that the external structure has been decimated by, stone thieves, and apparently it's the same internally as well. Here's a picture of the internal chamber from Wikipedia, and it has an interesting gabled ceiling of 3 lots of stone and a main chamber underneath the tip of the pyramid. And moving on to the next pyramid on our list. This pyramid is attributed to Neferkare Kakai, who reigned for somewhere between 8 and 11 years. But it's really interesting that he is recognized as a kind leader, which is kind of unusual for the pharaohs. Archaeologists say that his pyramid was originally supposed to be a step pyramid, but for some reason the design was changed along the way into a true pyramid. It was part of a rather large pyramid complex at Abu Sir. Here's an artist's rendition of how it might have looked when there was water around Abu Sir. Apparently this is one pyramid that won't be explored again because of the amount of damage that's been done to the interior and the exterior of the pyramid. And moving on, the next pyramid on our list is the not-so-pyramid-like pyramid of Nefer-Efre, which didn't end up being a pyramid. It actually ended up becoming a mastaba. Located in Abu Sir, it was abandoned during the 2nd year of the reign of Nefer-Efre, when archaeologists theorized that he may in fact have died. And so the structure was converted by his successor into a mastaba. He didn't end up getting buried in the style that he was expecting, but he did at least end up on the king's list, or on some of the king's lists, I should say. Quite a few statues and heads of Nefer-Efre have been found, and although a mummy wasn't found in the pyramid, Bits of a body and wrapping have been found, and as well as a piece of the sarcophagus. And the next pyramid is the pyramid of Shep-Seskare. There is a lot of uncertainty around Shep-Seskare by archaeologists. For example, how long he reigned. But there is one thing that the archaeologists agree with, and that is that his pyramid was abandoned immediately after it had been, the foundation been flattened out and a hole started. So the area that had been flattened was roughly 100 meters squared. But this concept of abandoning a project doesn't ring true to me. The Egyptians were always using older things, reusing them, restoring them, and even continuing projects others had started. So I think there was actually something fundamentally wrong with this site, and they only discovered it once they started digging. For example, once they got so far, it started to flood. The next pyramid is for the pharaoh Nusere-Ini. Nusere-Ini, with a reign of between 24 to 35 years, built, or at least was involved with, a wide range of pyramids at Abu Sir. Archaeologists theorize that Nusere-Ini chose to finish off the projects of his father, mother, and brother that were unfinished, and then he went on to start and complete his own pyramid and that of his queens. The structure doesn't look like much now, but when it was finished and covered in limestone, it would have been 50 meters high at least. The pyramid is currently inaccessible due to it being very dangerous to attempt to go inside. The next on our list is the pyramid of Menkaure. If this pyramid doesn't excite the adventurer in you, then nothing will. Look at that black stone door or sarcophagus or box lid or whatever you want to call it, but it's amazing. In 2008, a little-known pyramid that had been lost and then found in the mid-1800s and then lost once again, only to be once more found and not recycled as firelighters by a team led by Zahi Hawass. The name of this pyramid is the Headless Pyramid, and I know it doesn't sound very Egyptological, but it was a name given to it by the locals when it was first found in the 1800s. And the name kind of stuck. And this Headless Pyramid is currently attributed to Menkaure Haya, even though no inscriptions have been found. This is the 19th pyramid on our list. It's the pyramid of Djedkare Isisi. Archaeologists believe it is likely that Djedkare enjoyed a reign of 40 years or maybe even more, and he was known for doing a bit of reforming in his time, as well as doing a bit of trade, some exploration, and a smattering of war. And of course, he built a pyramid. The pyramid still looks like a pyramid, even though it's been robbed of its casing stones and its top 3 layers are gone. They found many fragments of a basalt sarcophagus and a body. Archaeologists believe that it is the pharaoh's body, but radiocarbon dating, it just doesn't line up. The valley temple of the pyramid is buried underneath modern housing. The Pyramid of Unas is the 20th on our list of pyramids. The reign of Unas is thought to have lasted up to about 30 years, but it was a period of economic decline. He was the last pharaoh of the 5th dynasty, and he had the smallest pyramid. The pyramid was only 6 steps high and was made smooth-sided with the Tura limestone casing stones. The most interesting aspect of this pyramid is that it is the first place that the pyramid texts actually start to appear. Other than that, there's not very much to tell you about the Pyramid of Unas. And that's the end of the pyramids of the 5th dynasty.